Israel is known as the startup nation and a high-tech capital, but it's also known for its high cost of living and the challenges that brings. So how can you really tell what the Israeli economy is like? Ronen Avigdor is a financial market expert, and he's here to tell us more about the state of the Israeli economy and what we can expect it to look like in the future. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Denise.
So first of all, we see there was a tax surplus in the first quarter of 2016. What does that mean, and what does it say about the Israeli economy?
It's actually good news. The government's income from taxes is higher than expected. It was in the first quarter of 2016, and also it has been a trend since 2009. So each and every year, the income is higher. Main reasons of this good news is actually more and more deals in the housing industry. People are buying apartments and they are paying tax. And also various acquisitions of Israeli high-tech companies by leading international companies, which produces taxes to the government, and also the fundamental growth of the Israeli industry and markets.
So it sounds like the Israeli economy, it's sounding like it's pretty strong, and we're looking at the world economy and seeing that it's somewhat fragile, at least most experts are saying that. So what can we really assume about the Israeli economy?
It's actually better. I mean, even if you judge it by itself, and especially if you compare it to other advanced economies, countries. For instance, the growth rate of the GDP in Israel is roughly 3% and stable, and it is getting better. Unemployment is very low, actually at its lower point, roughly 5%, and also participation in the labor force is very high, above 70%, which is considered a good data. And also, if you look at the budget deficit, it is very low. The official target is 2.9% per year, and we're actually around 2% now and declining. One of the only state, one of the, not only, but one of the best figures, one of the best performance of the Israeli economy if you compare it to any other companies.
So if you had to break it down and say some of the most basic things about the Israeli economy, what would you say?
Well, first of all, it's a paradise for entrepreneurs and for innovations. And that's a very important part of our economy. Second of all, the Israeli economy is above average educated, and it is still young as far as participation in the workforce. Those two figures combined with the fundamentals of Israel makes it a very strong economy if you compare it to any other economy.
Sure. What are some of the challenges that you would say are facing the Israeli economy?
Well, first of all, we are not an isolated island. Israeli economy depends heavily upon export. I think about 50% of our GDP comes from export. Wow. That's why if the Chinese market, if the US market, if the European economy are weak, then necessarily it influences us. So we are in a very delicate position. Second reason is that the level of inequality in Israel is relatively high. Now, this is an economic problem, not just a social problem, because if you invest in a social environment, if you try to make the inequality lower, it is a worthwhile investment as far as economics, because then the Israeli consumer has more money to spend, therefore the private consumption is up, and therefore the growth is up. So it's actually the two challenges is the export, the dependency of export, and the need to lower the income inequality.
Sure. And so for someone, if we have any viewers perhaps that are thinking of moving to Israel and they're concerned about the economy, what are some advantages or disadvantages that they should know about?
Well, it is understandable that people have anxieties, and fears, because still you leave your country, you go to a new place. It's understandable. Basically, as far as the economics is concerned, I don't see any dramatic problem. Israel is very friendly to its new immigrants, especially from the US. There are many tax breaks, and you get help with education, you get help with the acquiring apartments, schools, and everything. I think the main obstacles is probably psychological and cultural differences. It's a totally different ball game, as they say, and you need to adjust. And that's why it's recommended to do it, step by step, and not just on the spur of a moment decision. But basically, as far as economics, I think terms are favorable.
Well, fantastic. Thank you. You've given us a lot to think about. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.